Welcome to part 2 of the Bavarian Demon 3SX setup. Okay, so you've got your servos connected, you're all bound up, and you would have been on this page here to connect everything up. You would have followed this sequence here to make sure you're on connecting the servos to the correct position, and then you are here. So what we've got to do here, just be aware that the servos are set in the neutral position and will not respond to the TX. So any input you put for the out of your transmitter, it will not affect the servo. So the whole purpose of this section here is to set your basically at this point you want to put your horns on your servos at 90 degrees or parallel with your servo, depending on whether they're facing long ways along the run of the your blades rotor, or is it if it's facing up and down towards the mast or main shaft, then your servos will be at 90 degrees. So set those as close as you can on the closest spline you can to get that right, and then you make the adjustments here to each corresponding servo, head 1, 2 and 3, and then this will set those up for you. Okay, so make your adjustment. Each adjustment won't do anything until you hit right, so just be careful of that. Just make little adjustments at a time and then right to get it to stick, and then vice versa. So once you've got those on, you shouldn't have any linkages to your swash plate right now, because that's going to be the next step. So once you've done that, go to next. And now we're going to adjust the you're going to do a couple of things here. You're going to set up your swash plate, so you want to connect up your links from your servo horns to your swash plate, and then you want to level your swash plate by mechanically adjusting your linkages on the swash plate. Don't touch these settings again because you've already done it. Okay. Okay, once you've got your zero swash, then put your linkages on top to your blades, and then use your blade leveler or pitch gauge tool or your Soco or whatever device you're using to do that on, and then set zero pitch, because nothing is actually, so this is dead zero. Everything should be zero. Servos zero, your swash should be zero level, and so should zero pitch on your blades. Then move your tail to your tail, which is in the next section. Sorry. Adjust your tail rotor using the push rod and your and mechanical 90 degrees, and don't worry about this bottom piece here. Just put your blades on top of one another, level them up, use this bottom adjuster to get it correct, and then hit right once it's lining up on top of one another on the blades, as I'll show you down the left here. It's right over the center now. So as you can see, my blades, the top one and the bottom one are lined up, so you don't want them like that or like that. You want them sitting on top of one another. So you set your mechanical on your servo at 90 degrees or parallel, depending on which way your servo is facing in relation to your push rod. In this case, mine is sitting at 90 degrees over here, because the servo's facing along the tail boom. Okay, so, and then once that's lined up, then and this is equal, then you can move on to the next stage. Okay, this section here is the mixer tab. Now this is critical. You need to make sure, because it's actually telling you, programming the gyro, or telling the gyro how it's sitting on the helicopter. So I've got mine upright. I've got mine with all my wires and cable sockets facing towards the front of the helicopter, and it's a right hand rotation, clockwise or right rotation main rotor blade. And my servos are, I've got 3 servos on the left. On the left here I've got this is how mine's set up. Yours might be set up like this, but still it's a 120 degree servos arrangement. Okay, once you've got that, select next. Now we're on to the servo. Now we're actually going to set the directions of all the servos. So just make sure that you go into your transmitter, which I'm going to show you down here on the left. I just wanted to quickly show you my setup on my transmitter first. I'll just show you that now. Basically, I'll show that on the left hand side in a minute. So what you've got to do is, the way I'll set mine up is you go into servo setup and then go to travel, change that to reverse, and make sure that you've got your throttle as the dark part down, the aileron, elevator, rudder are up, gyro down, pitch up, aux 2 down, and aux 3 and 4 down. Okay, so make sure that's set up in your transmitter. Okay, so once you've got that, now you can actually set these like this, which is this is for my Goblin. You might have to change a couple of little things to get it to work with yours. So now all your controls will work. So I've got minus on 1, 2 and 3. I've got plus on reversed and tail, and I've got plus on aileron and elevator. So this is how you can do your reverse of your directions, etc., to get it to work properly. And then go, if you had to change any of them, go right, and then wait till it calibrates and connects again, and then go next. Okay, we're still in the mixer tab here. We're in section 8. Basically, we're setting the collective, the cyclic travels for 9 degrees, plus and minus 9 degrees of attack. So that's with these two here. You'll be changing these two, and what you want to do is move your elevator to the full forward position, and set it so that you've got 9 degrees. You should have your pitch gauge on still. Set it so you've got plus 9 degrees. Pull it back, you should have minus 9 degrees. If you haven't got minus 9 degrees, the reason is because you haven't set your 0 servo horns, your 0 swash, and your 0 pitch. That's generally the only reason, because nothing is centralized and it's all up the crapper basically. Okay, so you have to go back and set that if that's not correct, but usually I allow plus or minus 0.75 of a degree. So your aileron and your elevator on this one here, anything you change, hit right, because this will go to it'll look like this sign here. Don't worry about these two here, leave them as they are, standard. Collective travel, this is where you adjust your actual full pitch collective travel, which is critical to have your 0 to 100 diagonal linear curve set up. Pitch curve should be in the linear mode at the moment. So this is for leveling your pitch. So you do that with either, I do that with my Soco gauge, but you can do it with a leveling tool, and level up your each one of your rods here, 1, 2 and 3, and basically adjust those, because you do not want to touch the adjustments that you've just made to all your servo arms, because they should be perfectly at 90 degrees. Okay, so once that's level, then connect your arms to your rotor blades and put your pitch leveling tool on, and you want to get 0 pitch there as well. And operating so that you have the correct full travel, and then you can go from 0 to negative pitch to full pitch, and that gives you the range that you need to get your plus or minus 12 degrees or 10 degrees or whatever you like to fly at. I fly at plus or minus 12, and I never have my aileron and elevator at any more than 9 degrees. Basically it's pretty aggressive, like very aggressive. So once you've set that, any changes and this is unequal, hit right and then go next. So now we're setting your tail travel limit. So basically move your stick as far to the left, and you should get no binding at all on your transmitter. If you are getting binding, then lower this one down, or lower this one down, hit right, and the binding should either you get it so it's not binding, and then work back up till it's binding. So take it up 3 or 4 points and hit right until it stops binding, and then move the tail to the right and move this one, adjust it. They should actually be, the recommendation is it should be even. I clearly have got something not quite right here because it's quite a bit different, but that's how I had to set mine up to get it to work. Your tail gyro gain, I've got mine set in my transmitter, set up in my transmitter, which I'll show you after I've done this. You can set it for around about 45 and see how you go, but I set this to 0, and I use my transmitter gain settings to play with my tail, so I can tune in my helicopter. Once I've got it tuned in, I'll come back to this and actually set it in here and disable my tail gyro in the helicopter in the transmitter. Okay, so once you've done that, set your endpoints and your tail gain, move to the next one. And this one here is this is an overall. This is basically setting your expo and all that sort of stuff to, so when you do pitch pumps and all that sort of stuff, it recovers and stops the tail from spinning on you or from moving a little bit. Holds pretty true. I generally leave these to how I set it, which was GY 611, and then I hit right, and that was me for that. I'd never touched anything else. But if you do want to set your tail, if you've missed it in the last step, you can adjust your tail limits left and right here. But it does show it a lot clearer there. Okay, so leave this as it is. So go to, once you've done that and set it up, go to next, and there you should be at 9.3, which you are in your head gain. Now I basically set this up for acro, because my heli's a 1.6, it's a Goblin 630. If you've got a helicopter that's got greater than 1.8 meters, then select that option. If you have a helicopter that has greater than 2.2 meters, select that option. But I've got acro, and I just wrote that once I selected it, and I never touched any of these settings here. If you have any bobbling or anything once you're tuning, you can play with your head gain and stuff here. So go OK next, and pretty close to being done now. So if you're running turbine helicopters, you want to be making sure that you've got a protective hood to stop the ultrasonic sound penetrating into the gyro and causing it to go unstable. Go OK next. Now you want to check your sense of direction for all 3 axes. So pick your helicopter up, right now with everything all connected up and running, move the helicopter and tilt it forward, rotate so that the rotor's tilting forward, and your swash plate should tilt backwards against that, and vice versa. Tilt it back, it should go forwards to try and counter what you're doing and not steer you into a further disaster. Same with the tilt the heli left, it should tilt the plate right and tilt it right, and it should make the swash go to the left to try and counteract what you're trying to do. Just wanted to demonstrate the actual recovery, or checking your 3 axes before you do your flight. So basically you pick up the tail of the helicopter while they're on the ground after it's stabilised and all set itself, and you should be able to tilt it forward, and see how the swash is turning back, and when you push down it counters it, and when I go left it should move towards me like that. Yes, it does. And the same the other way, it should force it against the other way. So that's how you can check it, and then you do a final check on your tail. So move it to the right, and you can see it's definitely moving the top rotor towards the right direction, and when you move it the other way, it moves it back the other way. So that's it. Once you've confirmed that's operating, then you want to check your tail gain, your tail rotation, and just make sure your gyro's set up correctly. So to do that, and if you haven't done that, then you should go back to this area here to mixer mode, and your tail gyro, so your direction of your tail gyro, and you need to make sure that that's working. I'm just going to show you a little video here about how to set up your tail gyro. This is how you check your gyro, okay, for correct direction. I'm just going to move the heli forward a little bit so it doesn't whack into my laptop there. So what we're looking for here is I've got my tail blades lined up on top of one another, and when I move my tail to the right, my tail to the right direction, my blade, this top blade here should start moving right, and this one should start moving less, which is actually going to make the helicopter want to correct it. Okay, so we'll just check that now. So we'll just move it in this direction, and yes, as you can see, it is moving this top blade to the right direction, so that's correct. And the same as when you apply right rudder, it should move them to the right, left rudder should move them to the left. So that's how you do that. Okay, so that's the basic setup completed. I just basically you're ready for tuning now. Run the helicopter and tune it. If you want to set up rescue mode, I've got a video up on how to do that. I haven't got that included here, but what you do need to do is look for is set it up in horizon and set it up for acro if you want to do for rescue mode. So if you're doing like 3D, or you're learning how to do something different and you want to recover, it'll recover from both inverted and normal side up, and it will actually get the helicopter to the closest axis. Instead of having to flip over from inverted to inverted, if it's closer to being inverted, it will actually level out at inverted and rise up, and then you can flip it over and recover. Or if it's up the other way, anywhere between 0 pitch degrees level and 90 degrees over on its side or front or back, it will go straight to level and normal side up, and vice versa. If it's past the 90 degrees upside down, it will level upside down and rise. Okay, so it's quite clever, but you do need to check that up, and you can check the advanced option to change the settings. This one here I've reduced right down to 4 for aggressive pitch, because it really is quite aggressive if you leave it to standard. Okay, so yeah, anyway, so I just leave it at 4. I bring it down to 4. I think it comes in at about 6 or something like that, or 7. I take it right down to 4, and it's really good. It still recovers really nicely. Hit right. And that's pretty much it. So basically, if I go to my diagnose option and I go to my tail gain, I'm running 37% tail gain on my 630. I've got a little switch that's got 3 positions, but I'm running 37%. And my horizon mode, this is how I check to make sure it goes. I flick the switch, the horizon stabilize and pitch action activate together, and my light on my heli goes green when I do that. But it won't do it, and if you're in the diagnose tab, it won't actually go into, it won't show that light, the green light on the gyro itself. So when you're actually in, so if you're in the, you should be in the all tab, and it should be orange if you're in normal. If you're running just normal mode, orange. If you flick it into rescue mode, that light LED should go green and flicker really fast, and that means you're in the correct mode. Plus you should see your swash rise up rapidly, if it's the right side up, rapidly increasing the pitch so that it comes up straight. Just want to do a quick demo on demonstrating how rescue mode affects the helicopter when you have it set up right. So I've got my switch on the back of the transmitter here set up as the rescue switch. So as you can see, the LED on the 3SX is orange, and my swash is sitting there, and when I hit the switch, the swash pumps up and you get a really rapid flashing LED, green LED. Put it back to normal, it recovers. So it's a little bit different to what the Icon 2 do, whereas the Icon 2 basically recovers really quickly, and then after a couple of seconds it settles down again, whereas this just keeps shooting up into space. So you do have to come back out of it, but you can actually, oh no, it doesn't give you any control at all. You can set the control limit, the amount of control you can override it with your pitch control in your settings in your 3SX software. Alright, I just wanted to quickly show you that before we wrapped it up. Alright, look, I hope that helps everyone, and that's the end of part 2 of setting up your Bavarian Demon 3SX, and hope you enjoyed, and good luck with your project. Westy over and out.